Hey, what's up? Welcome back. I'm the Zim. This is the Zim video. This is volume 2, part 4 of my rideshare experience videos. Thanks for joining again. Before we get into the show today, a couple things I want to mention. First is I do a daily podcast. It's called the Zim Life Vlog, and the reason I mentioned it to you is that if you're interested in learning more about my rideshare driving, I do this podcast daily, so oftentimes a lot of what I talk about is my rideshare experience. So check it out. It's on all the places. They're listed below. Google, Apple, Spotify, all those things, everywhere. Also, if you want to support this channel and you want to see me make better videos and whatnot, then consider my Patreon, patreon.com/thezim. Things that you will be supporting is like getting better lighting, because I really think the lighting sucks on this. Also, better gear, better computer. Oh my god, last week's show was terrible. It took me 24 hours to render it down because just my computer's like 7 years old. But all that kind of stuff. So anyways, enough of that. So we're going to do shout outs. And in one of the shout outs this last week, or one of the comments that was posted on this channel, somebody mentioned the idea of like the format of this show, and I just wanted to bring it up as well. Just, it's very conversational, very unedited. The only editing I do is like sticking things on the screen, but not I don't edit out pauses and things like that. So if that's not the type of show that you're interested in watching, then that's fine. That's cool. This is very conversational, very just casual, just whatever. I like to kind of keep it real. I come from that podcasting background, is where I come from, and my philosophy on podcasting is to make it relaxed and conversational, not highly edited or produced, and so that's kind of how I approach this show as well. So I just want to bring that up, just so you're aware. If you're expecting something different, this is what it is. Just us talking. So feel free to talk to me in the comments. But let's do some shout-outs, and shout-outs are people that have engaged to the channel, to these rideshare shows, new since last week. I thank everybody that subscribed. Again, I think I've gone up about another 10 subscribers since last week. Creeping. I'm about 146 subscribers away from reaching 1K, which I'm looking forward to doing. So if you haven't yet subscribed, hit up the button in the corner and do it up. I'd love to have your support that way as well. But these are people newly engaged to the channel, and thank you everybody that's been engaging for a while. Charles Sabaga. I did practice it beforehand, but I forgot. Timothy no, I didn't practice that much. Selstad. Anyways, L. Lee, Mahogany Marie, Mom's Travel Team. Thank you guys for your comments. I love it. Comments are my oxygen. Comments are what makes this whole thing fun. What you have to say about it is what I love. So go ahead and comment on what you've been hearing. Let's get into the show. First, I always start off, so there's two boxes in the corner. It's how much I made and then the main topic. So this week, let's just get into how much I made. And if you want to scroll ahead to the main topic, just do the timeline or timestamp in the desktop version of the video. You can click ahead to the timestamp. That'll jump you straight to the main topic. But for now, let's just, too much talking. This is how much I made this week. So, as you know, last week's video was about getting 145 rides. I decided to do it again. I didn't think I was going to do it again, but I decided to do it again because I'll tell you why. So how much I made. Let's break down the numbers first, and then I'll tell you why I went for it. So 145 rides, which is the top tier bonus for me, for the power driver bonus, took me 46 hours, which is very sustainable, very good. Basically, so in my deposit will be, so I'm recording this before Lyft has finished their accounting, so if within the next 6 hours I get a couple late tips or something like that, it may be adjusted up a little bit, but as of recording this, this is what it says. $1,250.80 will be deposited. At least that much will be deposited. I did get $15 in cash tips, so on the heads-up display it'll be $15, at least $15 more than that. Tips, though, in general, I did $119 total tips, which is still pretty bad. I honestly don't know why tips are the last few weeks have been pretty bad. 3 weeks ago, I think it was pretty awesome. But my thing with tips is I feel like it's perfectly reasonable to expect at least $1 per ride, like cumulative, because there are people that won't tip and there are people that'll tip more. But over the span of everybody, all the rides you get, if you get at least $1 per ride, that's a good number. But in reality, I believe it should be double. Like, for what we offer as a service and how much we get paid, we should get double the amount of money versus the amount of rides we have in terms of tips. Like, I did 145 rides. Basically, it should be $300 in tip. But it's not, because it's just not in the culture yet that people feel that it's that kind of value to give tips to this job. Like, when you go, I think it's pretty ingrained in the culture of going out that you pretty much everybody tips their server. I mean, I believe the percentage is a lot higher. I did the math on this on my account a while ago, and it was below like 40. It was around 40% of people that I give rides to give tips. So, anyways, little tangent on tips, but so that's kind of what's going on there. Let's go to the second slide. This is my daily breakdown. So I worked. So this will I'll talk about why I went for the 145 ride again. I wasn't going to, because last week it was pretty grueling, and it was fairly grueling this week again. But so Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday was pretty slow for some reason. Thursday was okay, but then I was looking at my numbers and it was Pride. So Pride in San Diego this week, which is the LGBTQ celebration festival that happens throughout the country, and a lot of cities celebrate it, and they had San Diego's version this weekend. So I was like, there's going to be more demand, most likely, so let's try this. Let's go for it. And I needed, at the time of deciding it, I needed Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I averaged it out. It was 33 rides a day. And so I went for it, and I was like, that's a lot of rides, but maybe I can do it, because it would be great, because there's a combination of factors. The actual money I was making was a little lower than normal, and just in base rides because of lack of tips and just short rides and all this kind of stuff. I was like, well, it'd be really nice if I got that top bonus to actually make some good money and not have to worry if I was, because basically what we're going to talk about today later on is the breaking $1,000 is kind of the number I always want to go for, and it looked like it might be hard to do. It looked like I would be close to this many rides, 145 rides anyway. So I was like, let's just do it. Let's just go for it. So on Friday, I ended up doing 36 rides. And then on Saturday, I did 31 rides. So by Sunday, I needed 32 rides. And Friday was all right. I was it took me around 11 hours, 10 and a half hours, I think, to get my 36 rides, which is all right. Saturday, it actually took me 11 and a half hours to get 31 rides. And Saturday was the hardest day for me. It wasn't, if you remember back last week, I was talking about Saturday being a pretty grueling day, just physically. It wasn't quite as grueling, but spending so much time in the car, and again, spending so much time in the car plus compounded on having been doing this job for a year and a half and just different things like that, it catches up quick to me. 46 hours of doing this many rides is obviously, that's pretty sustainable. That's not too bad. 45 or below hours is what my body tends to be able to handle pretty decently. So, and I'm like, that's pretty sustainable, 46 hours. So so Saturday was my roughest day. It was kind of hard, but then Sunday came along. I got a decent night's sleep. I woke up early, got it going, and Sunday was bonkers. I did, so my 32 rides I did in 8.5 hours. They averaged out to be about pretty much exactly 3.76 rides an hour, which is awesome. It just went really fast, and so it gave me the energy to make it through this thing. And then I got done by 4:30, 5 o'clock on Sunday night, and had the rest of the night just to chill and relax, which was awesome. And then today, Monday, I'm recording this. I have all day off, and I'm just chilling. So pretty good there. So Sunday was the kind of day that I thought was gonna happen when I first started the job. I thought I was. It's kind of I thought it would be turn on the app and rides just fall on your face, but that's not the case. But every once in a while it does. And what I was saying to passengers in the car, let's get into the hour. This is the hourly breakdown, so you can see where I drove. So what I was saying to passengers in the car was this was one of my best days ever driving. I did not get a lot of queue rides, like it wasn't like prompting me that I had one waiting, but the distance between it was just like back-to-back rides all day long pretty much, and it felt so good. It's like, if this is the way it could be all the time, I would be like, driving for Lyft is the best job ever. That's what I would be saying. But, alright, so if you have any questions regarding what I made and how I made it, feel free to hit me up, and I would happy to go into more details. Just comment. As I said, I love comments. So comment on it if you want a question or something like that. Let's get into how much I made. So, for start, this is like part 2 of this, how much I made, or, redux, whatever, redo. Part 2 of how to make 1,000 or more driving for Lyft. So, about a year ago, I think, almost exactly about a year ago, I did the first one, and it's actually my most viewed video of the rideshare videos. It's like got 13,000 views or something like that, which is cool. So I thought I would revisit it. I did not watch it again, so I'm just going on based on what I know from this point on, in a way. So it's kind of fresh, kind of way. And I was thinking about it, and there was 3 main points that I feel like play a big factor into how much making a grand. And the grand is like, for me, it's like this kind of like benchmark amount that, like, if we can make, it's like, it feels like it's a good mark, but replace the grand with whatever's the reality of your city. So we'll talk about that in a second. So it could be like, you could just be in a smaller town and you'd never make a grand. So maybe it's $800, whatever it is, the things I'm about to talk to you will apply to that. So the first thing, I'll just put a bullet point list on the screen. The first thing I came up with was know your area. So there's again, like 3 main things underneath knowing your area. It's like, sometimes it takes some time. And this, again, let me roll back real quick. This is based on the lens of being a full-time driver, and from my lens. So I'm a full-time driver that drives mostly during the day. So consider that, because as I've said many times, there's many different ways to approach this job. I'm giving you my way, so if you want to try my way and make a grand a week, this may be a good answer for you. So, knowing your area, and sometimes it takes a while. Even if you've lived in your city for a long time, it may take you a while to understand the rhythm of your city, understand where to get rides, and there's 3 kind of main points underneath that. Let's actually throw up these 3 points. So I'll start with the first one. It says demographics and density. The 2 things. So you want to be in an area that has like college students, middle income type, not too poor, not too rich, and dense, and like apartments and things like that. Lots of people within a small area. That's a major factor in finding a good amount of rides. Times of day, let's do this. Times of day is another point of this, making sure you're driving in times of day. You do not want to be wasting your time sitting in the car for 1 ride an hour. You want to be in your car when it's good. So you want to, times of day plays the factor of longevity, which is the last point I'll mention in a second. But so we'll get back to that. Times of day is important. Know when it's good in your city. Learn that. It may not be as predictable as you may think. Lyft gives you like the prime time notifications, but those are not necessarily the best times to drive. They just happen to be some of the times to drive. So consider that. And then the third one is just the reality of your city. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this, what is the reality of your city, of your area? Is it unrealistic to ever make a grand? You got to know that, and you got it. The only way to really know that is to learn from experience. So applying yourself, figuring it out, going what's going on, asking other drivers in the area, just different things like that. Sign up for sign up for the user groups on Facebook, because inevitably people will post what they made, and so you can kind of get an idea. Most of the time, it's usually always the best case scenarios. Unlike my show here, where I try to tell you every case scenario, the bad weeks and the good weeks. I want to give you a realistic view of what's going on, but it gives you a sense. It's like, is it even possible if somebody's posting 1K or more, whatever number that you're going for, on the user groups? then you can say, oh, it is possible. And then you can ask them questions like, where do you drive? Do you have a Lux car? Do you know, all these different things. It's like finding out all the details. The second major point is make sure you're driving a car that allows you to qualify for the power driver bonus. So when I made this video of the first round, I was not qualifying for power driver bonus. And what it meant was grinding my face off, working massive hours. But now that I'm in my own car, getting the power top tier and even the second to top tier power driver bonus goes a long, massive way to making more money, making that $1,000 or more. So I cannot stress enough, being in a car that allows you to get the power driver bonus, super, super important. Game-changing important. So that's the next one. And then the third thing and final thing I'm going to talk about is putting in the time. You know, regardless of anything else, knowing when to drive and where to drive and all that stuff, and having your own car, the thing that wraps this all up is you have to dedicate time to this job. And from my experience driving in San Diego, it seems as though driving any less than 40 hours a week will not achieve the goal of getting $1,000 or more. So, you know, I would say, and driving, you know, a 40-hour week in the car is a lot more fatiguing than 40 hours pretty much in any other job that I can think of, unless you're holding up steel beams every day for 40 hours. But what it does on your body, you're mentally on in the car the whole time. You know, it's like you have other people's lives in your hands. So it's like there's just like it's a fatiguing job in general. So 40 hours, it may seem like, oh, that's 40. That's a typical work week. I'd say 40 hours driving for a rideshare company is like more mentally, more physically, more than what it seems. So consider that putting in the time is not as easy as it seems, especially if you're doing it long term like I am. So that's it. That's kind of my big three. If there's something, like if you are a current driver and there's something you think I missed that's super, super important, I'm sure down the line in another video or so I will be like, oh, I should have mentioned this. But those really feel like the big three factors for me of making the most money. You know, there is the factor of deciding when you want to drive and when you're comfortable driving and working within that schedule. Like, as you know, I don't drive the night shift because basically I don't want anybody throwing up in my car. So I don't ever drive past 11:30. So within like 6:30 a.m. and 11:30 p.m., I found out what hours within that window allows me to make the money I want to make. And I just focus on those hours. Talking about the time aspect of things as well, you know, as you saw, let's put up my hourly grid. As you can see there, I don't work the middle of the day because it's so slow and it's not worth it. So even though, you know, I'm putting in 40, this last week was 46 hours, it consumes most of your day on each day that you work, because you want to work during the busy times. You know, you don't want to work when it's slow. So consider that. It's not as, you know, I get up, I work, I stop. It's not quite, it might not be quite that realistic that way for you. If that made sense. Okay, great. So we're running out of time. Again, if you found this video because you want to become a driver, use my referral code. It's ZIM200. You and I both get a bonus no matter what city you're in. If you want to follow along on this journey on a more daily basis, not only that podcast I mentioned at the beginning, but at Rideshare Zim on Instagram is a great way to do it. I mostly post like how much I made and things like that there. And then I wanted to try to start doing these question of the day. So the question of the day today is, what's the best tip you had? And you can post in the comments. Mine was getting sandwiches after the Super Bowl. The Falcons lost to the Patriots. I got a platter of sandwiches. Awesome tip. Lasted me for a week. They were great. They were like the croissant kind. All right. Be excellent to each other. May your rides be long and your tips be big.